While I was studying specific Old Testament prophecies that Jesus Christ has fulfilled, I came across some really awesome information I'd not heard before, and I thought you guys would probably be interested in hearing this. So I couldn't wait to share it with y'all. I was looking more deeply in how certain prophecies were fulfilled at Jesus' crucifixion, and I realized that Jesus was in such absolute control of not only all the events that took place, but exactly when they took place with absolute precision. And what is the significance of some of those details? So let's look at some of these together. This prophecy in Psalms 22. I may tell all my bones, they look and stare upon me. And there he's saying like his bones are on display. They can be seen. They look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them and cast lots upon my vesture. And this was fulfilled, and it's spoken of in John chapter 19. Then the soldiers, when they had crucified Jesus, took his garments and made 4 parts, to every soldier a part, and also his coat. Now the coat was without seam, woven from the top throughout. They said therefore among themselves, let us not rend it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be, that the scripture might be fulfilled, which saith, they parted my raiment among them, and for my vesture did they cast lots. These things therefore the soldiers did. And from what I understand, that was an undergarment, like a linen undergarment, and it was rare for them to be seamless like that, woven in one piece. So the significance of that is a garment like that was worn by the high priest at Passover. And Jesus is our high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Jesus is both the Passover lamb and the high priest who willingly offered himself. And Jesus was crucified at the 6th hour, which was the very hour in which the high priest would begin the slaughter of the Passover lambs in the temple. It's interesting, too, that his garment was woven in one piece from top to bottom like a priest's garment, but it was taken off before he offered himself. And the veil of the temple, separating the holy place from the holiest of holies, was then torn in 2 from top to bottom, signifying our entry into the holiest of holies, to have access to the Father by the Spirit of adoption because of our redemption through his blood. I also noticed there was a total of 5 garments, the 4 that were divided, 1 each to each one of the soldiers, and then the 5th one, which was the one woven without seam, and 5 represents grace in the Bible, which is also interesting. Now, while Jesus was on the cross, he was actually still presiding over the Passover meal, which had begun many hours earlier at the Last Supper. The Hebrews would take 4 cups of wine at the Passover meal, but only 3 cups were consumed before Jesus got up and led the apostles to the Garden of Gethsemane. What they call the cup after supper, which is in Luke 22, was the 3rd of 4 cups consumed at the Passover meal. The 4 cups were to recall the 4 I will promises of deliverance made by God to Moses in Exodus 6, where he said, I will bring you out, I will rescue you, I will redeem you, and take you as my people. Those are the 4. And the 3rd of those cups, the Redeem You cup, is often called the cup of blessing or the cup of redemption. Okay? So they took the cup of redemption, they took up to cup number 3, the bring you out, rescue you, redeem you, with Jesus at the supper. And then before taking the 4th one, he got up and led the apostles to the Garden of Gethsemane. So the 4th cup is consumed after what's called the Great Hallel, which is the singing of Psalms 1:14 through 1:18. Mark 14:26 and Matthew 26:30 tells us that they sang a hymn before going out to the Mount of Olives. And when they had sung an hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Having controlled exactly when the wine, the fourth cup, was served to him on the cross in John chapter 19, Jesus drinks the fourth cup and then says, "It is finished," meaning the Passover meal is finished and his work of redemption is finished. So it says, after this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, saith, "I thirst." So he knew it was done. He said, "I thirst." And now there was set a vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar and put it upon hyssop and put it to his mouth. Now the Greek word there for the vinegar is like oxos, O-X-O-S, which is a sour wine. It was a cheap, sharp, vinegary wine, but it was actually wine. And it was for quenching thirst. So he took it when it was ready, and there were actually a few occasions where they offered him wine during this whole crucifixion event, and this is the only time that he actually took it. So it's just amazing to me that even on the day of his death and under excruciating pain and stress, that he was in control. You know, God is sovereign and all-powerful, and his word does not return void. We can trust that all of his promises and prophecies are true and will come about exactly as he says they will. Okay, I hope this blessed you guys. Have a great evening.